For over the past decade, people have been wondering about the secret entity pulling all the strings in every Pikmin game. A mysterious force playing with all our protagonists like chess pieces in an attempt to further their own goals. While those goals are unclear, it is pretty clear that PNF 404 is cursed, causing every ship to crash land there. There has to be something or someone orchestrating it all. Many believe that the Wraith-like creatures have been the ones pulling the strings all along, and that this enemy, in particular, has been along with us since the very beginning, ever present and ever evolving. This popular theory, better known as the Umibozu theory, kinda got messed up with Pikmin 4, along with the rest of the timeline. Of course, the Wraith creatures can still be crashing ships, but it's less likely that it's constantly evolving. But I'm not here to talk about that. I'm here to talk about another entity, even stronger and ever-present, that is behind it all. That's right, I'm going to talk about Louie. Now, I know what you're thinking. Louie? That loser? You pulling my leg? But let me cook and you might be surprised. Louie is a foe in the Pikmin universe that has been the final boss not once but twice. But everyone in the game plays it off as him being a troll and not actually being evil. So for those who don't know, Louie has been around since the beginning of Pikmin, technically. During the events of Pikmin 1, while Louie is not in the game, while Olimar is stranded, Louie is on a mission to deliver golden Pikmin carrots. And he ends up eating all of them, placing the company into a massive debt. Upon Olimar's return to Hawkatate, the start of the second game, a souvenir that Olimar had collected is dropped, and it bumps into Louie. Now, Louie gives one of the weirdest expressions I've ever seen. It's like he knows what it is, that, or it's just a very strange, confuzzled, surprised look. The president sees that this is worth money and sends both Louie and Olimar back to PNF 404 to collect money. Upon entering PNF 404's atmosphere, they have a rough landing, where Louie is ejected but quickly meets up with Olimar again. The rest of the Pikmin 2 game involves Louie and Olimar collecting treasures until they repay the debt. However, once they're finished paying off the debt, Olimar leaves PNF 404, heading back to Hawkatate, only he forgets Louie. Oddly enough though, Louie appears to be very happy in the end scene credits, where you can just see him enjoying himself while he's been left behind stranded. Definitely an odd reaction to being cast away. The president then goes with Olimar back to PNF 404 in order to help find Louie. And when they finally do find him, it's to discover Louie on top of the Titan Dweevil. They battle the Dweevil and then they leave the planet with Louie. It's a constant debate whether or not Louie was controlling it or not, but I'll cover this a little bit more later on. Pikmin 3 events come around, and they involve the president obtaining a new debt because he somehow lost all the profits made during the second game. Olimar and Louie are again sent back to PNF 404 to make more cash. This time though, Olimar gets captured by the Plasm Wraith and Louie escapes. Wait. The Plasm Wraith? I swear I used to just call it the Plasma Wraith, but no, it's actually the Plasm Wraith. Huh. Anyways, I will mention that Louie escapes this encounter because he had a bad feeling, which is interesting to say the least. They've literally constantly been surrounded by very dangerous enemies where you should pretty much constantly feel uneasy. Why would all of a sudden he gets an overwhelming bad feeling unless he knew what was going to happen? After Louie escapes, he runs into the Kopites and they bring him onto their ship, where he then runs away and steals all of their food. There is a clip in the Pikmin 3 Deluxe where Louie explains himself on how he thought he was kidnapped, but that doesn't explain why he stole all the food. Louie then gets recaptured by the Kopites, only this time they tie him up. From here, Pikmin 3 has like two endings. Both of them involve the Kopites defeating the Plasm Wraith, but in the main campaign's ending, you can actually find a Kopite log saying that Louie is left behind again. But in the side mission mode, you can see Olimar leaving with Louie. So it's a little unclear which one is truly canon, and it's kind of up for discretion. Then we finally have Pikmin 4. Pikmin 4 has Louie as probably the biggest enemy compared to all the other games. Pikmin 4 is where you, the Rescue Corps, go to PNF 404 in order to save Olimar, who has been stranded. Again. You're also there to rescue a bunch of dumb people who came to the planet after hearing Olimar's SOS signal. Yeah, they're dumb because they came to a dangerous planet, not to save Olimar, but to sightsee. And every single last one of them ended up crashing. Louie is also on the planet, allegedly because the company sent him in order to look for Olimar. You first see Louie in Pikmin 4 during the credit scenes, and he's wandering around the planet without a care in the world, just like in the Pikmin 2 credits. But during these events, he meets up with Moss, and Moss appears to immediately recognize him. I mean, Moss didn't have the same reaction when seeing you or any other castaway. More on that later. Continuing with the events of Pikmin 4, you go around rescuing people and curing leaflings. Olimar is also cured because he died and was revived as a leaf man. Little side note explanation, Olimar was able to repair his ship after sending out the SOS signal. But Moss, the space dog that he found on the planet, snuck onto the ship, and he had to go back because Moss would die if they left the planet. So when he was trying to land back on PNF 404 instead of escaping, his life support ends up giving out, so he actually dies while re-entering the atmosphere, and the Pikmin and Moss actually end up reviving him using the onion, turning him into a leaf man. Back onto the main campaign of Pikmin 4, you eventually meet Louie, only he is more of an opponent, and Olimar tries to talk to Louie, but just gets completely ignored. Which doesn't make any sense, given that Louie's sole mission was allegedly to follow Olimar. From here, Louie just goes around doing everything Leafling Olimar did. The only difference is, Louie is fully aware of what he was doing, whereas Olimar was just trying to spread Danduri because he was a leaf man. I mean, there are some night dialogues where Louie says he did all of this because back at work on Hakatate, Olimar told him to follow his lead. Which is super funny, yes, and it kind of explains Louie's shenanigans, but it goes against what Louie's own notes say. Because in Louie's notes, it says that he doesn't remember what Olimar looked like. So then, why would he know what a leafling Olimar looked like? You can tell that these things just aren't really adding up in Louie's story. As the main campaign progresses, Louie continues to be Louie. And he continues doing shenanigans like having some Copites held captive. Yeah, there are some Copites and you need to find them in order to cure your dog, Ochi, who ended up getting his tail leafified just from being on the planet for too long. One of the Copite captives, Nelly, who is able to cure Ochi, does say that Louie looked after them while they were captives in his own unique Louie way. But that doesn't mean that he treated them good by any means, especially since all the Copites are mad at him. So while you go around trying to stop Louie, you end up chasing him into a secret cave, where during the events of this cave, you end up seeing him a few times and he tells you to leave him alone and he runs away. On the final floor of the cave, Louie fights you with intent to kill, just like in Pikmin 2. After you defeat him though, you bring him back to the Rescue Corps base. Again, the Copites are mad at him and they want to have a word. So yeah, you can tell he didn't treat them good at all, but at least he didn't injure or kill them. While at the Rescue Corps base, you can talk to Louie and he says he wants to stay on PNF 404. You can also get some quests from him, but these aren't really relevant. And that's the main story from all Pikmin games with Louie in them, with a focus on the events that Louie did. So, now that everyone's caught up with everything Louie, and what major events he's done, how does this make Louie be the one behind everything? Well, like I said, there was a mastermind behind every major event that has occurred in the Pikmin series. And that mastermind is Louie. You see, Louie has been to PNF 404, and I'm not talking about in the games. I'm saying Louie has been to PNF 404 before Olimar did. This means that Louie would be on PNF 404 before the events of Pikmin 1. To start, Louie has an odd expression on his face when seeing Olimar's treasure. Yeah, remember when I mentioned that really back in the video? It's almost as if Louie recognized items similar to this one. Additionally, he immediately looks over to the ship, like he knew the ship would appraise the item. Now, this could just be coincidence in the animation, but they could have had him do anything else. Why do this specifically? I will also mention that the company going into debt is completely Louie's fault. Those two put together means that Louie knows the values of the treasures from PNF 404, and since he's a superclass glutton who just wants to eat everything, who's to say that he didn't put the company in debt because he wanted to be sent to PNF 404 for a prolonged duration, where there is so much to eat and he can further his other goals. Upon being left behind in the events of Pikmin 2, Louie eventually makes his way to the Dream Den. Now, Louie being left behind is already super odd, since he was never left behind at night before, and on the day the debt happens to be paid off, he gets left behind? It's almost like he wanted to be left behind in order to enact his master plan. Again, you see him while he's there stranded during the credits, and he's not worried at all. So what is this master plan? That master plan is to use the Titan Dweevil to take out Olimar and the President. The evidence points towards Louie being in control of the Titan Dweevil, rather than it just being a coincidence and him being held captive. This is for a few reasons. The first of which is the ship refers to Louie as the King of Bugs, where the ship believes Louie was in control. The second reason is that Dweevils are known to mimic the objects they carry, meaning that the Titan Dweevil was likely just copying what Louie was doing. So all Louie had to do was tame the creature. And if you don't think he could tame the Titan Dweevil, he tamed the ancient Sirehound. And he definitely uses that to try and kill you in Pikmin 4. And the third point is, you're meaning to tell me that Louie ran through the entirety of the Dream Den, one of the most dangerous caves, and ended up just happening to stumble upon the Titan Dweevil? It's more like he already knew that enemy was there, just like in Pikmin 4, where he runs through the entirety of the final cave, where the ancient Sirehound is. So we know that Louie is a master of controlling creatures, but Louie is also the only captain that knows not only how to survive, but thrive on PNF 404, staying there during night and day. This is super evident since he does this at least twice. Now, for argument's sake and the sake of this theory, let's just say Louie was left behind in Pikmin 3, rather than leaving with Olimar. If this is the case, it is fair to assume that Louie met Moss before Olimar did, which would explain why Moss is so happy to see Louie again during the credit scene. So if Louie met Moss, then that means they get separated. That is because Louie leaves behind Moss since he can't be bothered to share any food with the starving dog. And that's why Olimar, during his monologue at the beginning of the game, finds Moss in a malnourished state. After that, Moss helps Olimar repair the ship, but then before Olimar leaves, Louie, who is still on the planet, tells Moss to sneak onto the SS Dolphin. Why? Because Louie knows that Moss can't leave the planet, so he knows Olimar would have to come back and would likely crash again, which is exactly what happens. Think about it. Why didn't Moss sneak onto the ship at the end of Pikmin 4? Well, it's because Louie didn't want Moss to follow this time, as it would cause inconveniences for him. Alright, Invisaron, decent explanation of everything, and you kind of put why Louie is at fault, but you still haven't explained why he's doing all of this, and how he's been to Earth before Olimar. I said let me cook, and it's finally cooking time. Louie is doing all of this because he is an Umibozu, and his goal is to have as many people on the planet as possible. For those that don't know, Umibozus are mythical creatures that are said to sink boats and ships. The most common Umibozu theory is that the wraith-like creatures are Umibozu. Now I'm asking you to hang with me for a moment and just take my word and think that Louie is an Umibozu for a second. And I'll explain why this could make sense. First off, Louie is essentially an apex predator. You read all the Piclopedia entries and there is nothing he's afraid of. On top of that, he's the only space explorer who knows how to survive on this planet. By himself. No ship, no crew, nothing. Additionally, in Pikmin 4, there are multiple water wraiths and wraith-like creatures. So it's not far-fetched to say that there are multiple Umibozu creatures, with Louie being one of them. And the Plasm Wraith could shapeshift. So who's to say Louie can't? Continuing on with Louie's goals of getting as many people as possible on the planet, this is for two reasons. The first is Umibozus gain power from multiple people being present. It could be from their fear or other things, it doesn't really matter. To support this, let's just go through the game. In Pikmin 1, there is just Olimar, and you get the Gulags. In Pikmin 2, you had Olimar, the President, and Louie, depending on if you want to count him or not. And the Umibozu we get is the Water Wraith. Then in Pikmin 3, there is a total of 5 people, and you get the Plasm Wraith. Fast forward to Pikmin 4 with a total of 31 people, and you get the Foolix, as well as not 1, but 4 Water Wraiths. While we can't confirm, and it's not 100% certain, it does appear that the more people that arrive on the planet, the more wraith-like creatures there are, and the stronger they get. On top of bringing a lot of people to the planet, this isn't just to gain power. This is also because Louie wants to see the Earth inhabited again. Quick side note, I have a theory why every single species from Pikmin comes from Earth, but this is a quick rundown on that video. There was a nuclear fallout on Earth. The radiation forced humanity to leave. Humanity became smaller in order to reduce the effects of radiation, but still had to leave the planet. Over time, the radiation would transform the surviving creatures, and everyone just forgot about these events. There are some points to support this, like the Ancient Sirehound notes and Olimar's Geiger counter, which goes off randomly during the first game. Some treasure notes essentially support that all of these animals and even the species are related to each other, even though they're from vastly different star systems. Building off of that video, we have the nuclear fallout. And this happens because humanity was trying to defeat the Umibozu, but they were unable to. I mean, earlier I explained that Umibozus gain power from population, and with the population of Earth being so large, the Umibozu must have been super powerful. However, with a radiation-filled Earth and an unbeatable foe, again, humanity just left. And when the people left, so did the Umibozu's source of power. Not all Umibozu are completely bad though, which is why Louie just wants to see the planet he came from filled with people again. And that's why he went to such extreme lengths to get people to go back to Earth. Now, continuing with Louie's second main reason, this is because Louie wants a solid Pikmin leader to keep the Pikmin population up so that he can use the army of Pikmin to kill wildlife and eat food. This is also why at the end of the game, him seeing Moss and the Ancient Sirehound together, essentially leading the Pikmin, gave him a sense of peace that his little chef helpers would be taken care of. So, the mastermind behind it all is Louie. There are obviously some things here and there that are a little bit iffy, to say the least, but I had a lot of fun making the theory, and some aspects do have some good merit. And if you think this video has the logic of a small child just shoehorning in everything to make Louie the one that's to blame, thank you for the compliment. If you have one last question though as to why Louie attempts to make Olimar's and the other castaways think he's on their side, well, it's simple. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.